Thank you for having me, SPARKsouth. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Sarah Lively. I'm the Director of Social Media Marketing at Nebo Agency. I graduated in 2011. I have just over 5 years of professional marketing experience, but I held several marketing internships while I was in college. When I first graduated, I initially went the nonprofit route, worked in marketing there, transitioned to an in-house corporate role for marketing, and then finally found myself at Nebo, where I love, started in an entry-level position there and worked my way up and have been in this Director of Social Media Marketing role for the last 3 months. So I want to talk to you today about the things that I wish I knew when I graduated with a marketing degree. And I know that you're getting a lot of advice. Your parents are trying to tell you what to do. You have teachers telling you what to do. And pretty much everyone on the internet has an opinion about Gen Z and millennials and how you're ruining everything. So I get it, but because I graduated fairly recently in 2011 from Georgia State, and I was able to navigate my way into a career that I now love, and I've spoken in public before, at least once. Hold the mic and the clicker. So because of those things, I hope that you keep in mind that even though you're getting a lot of advice, I'm someone that has some good experience and hopefully someone that can give you advice that will help you navigate this time that you're going through right now. So I want to walk through the top 5 biggest mistakes I made when I graduated. And when I realized I was going to be speaking at SPARKsouth, I took a step back and I thought, what were the things that I really wanted to know when I was leaving college and getting ready to start my first job? And at the end of the day, I really cared about getting a job and navigating my career. So I want to walk you through the 5 biggest mistakes that I made, so hopefully you can learn from them, not make them as you're leaving school, and be even more successful than I've been. So the first thing I want to talk about is I just wanted to get out of college as quickly as possible. And you'll feel it, your last semester is going to be a strange thing. It's a combination of thinking that you're ready to take on the world and you're so excited and you have all these new skills. And also, a big part of you is going to want to pretend that the whole thing just isn't happening. But there's a few things that you can only do in college, and you should take advantage of them while you can. Whether you're ready to go or you're pretending like the real world isn't coming, you might be missing out on some really cool resources. So I really want to talk about the Career Center. If you're anything like me, you treated the Career Center like it was this horrifying cave full of evil clowns that just wanted to eat you. But in reality, it's a normal place full of normal people who just want to help you. Everything from resume writing to interview assistance, job listings, and career fairs. I found when I graduated, I didn't do any of this, and I realized I needed it. And when I wanted someone to review my resume or practice an interview with me, I realized you have to pay people to do those once you're out of college. So one of the biggest mistakes I made, it's easiest for you not to make, is just make sure you take a stop by your Career Center. The next thing I want to talk about, when I was looking for my first job, the only thing I cared about was making money and getting paid. And you'll feel it once college is over, the real world is going to come pretty hard and fast, and you're going to feel a ton of pressure to get a job. Especially as the bills start rolling in, maybe your parents are supporting you less, and when you get your first student loan repayment form, you're going to want to give up altogether. But finding your first job shouldn't just be about the money. And there's a few things that are just as important as cash that you should keep in mind. First, work to be a small fish. In my first 2 positions that I held outside of school, I was the marketing department, and I thought that was my dream job, and I was so excited to have that level of responsibility. But I realized after being there for some time that I wasn't learning, and there weren't people around me that were helping me grow. I didn't even know if what I was doing was right. So when you're looking for your first position, look to be in an environment where you can learn and grow from the people that are around you. Next, you're going to spend more time in your job than you probably spend anywhere else. So ask questions about the culture, learn about the work environment. My second job that I ended up taking outside of school, I left my first job because someone called me and offered me significantly more money. And I didn't ask about the culture, I didn't ask about the environment, I just dove right in because I was excited to make more money, and I ended up hating it. It was a terrible environment. So make sure you're asking questions about the culture when you're in your interviews. Also, give yourself a no asshole rule. And what I mean by that is in probably both of my first 2 jobs actually, there were people that I ended up working with who were just burnt out. They didn't want to help. They weren't excited to be there. They just weren't good people to be around. And the advice that I kept getting when I would talk to management about this, or even my friends and family, was that, oh, there's just one of those assholes at every company and you have to deal with it. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. There are companies that don't let people who are rude and disrespectful grow their careers within those organizations. So if you find yourself working with someone who's difficult and someone gives you the advice that that's just something you have to deal with, realize that it's not. And last, consider loyalty. You're getting a lot of advice right now that the best way for you to increase your pay grade is going to be for you to leave your job and go take another one. But the relationships you'll build with leadership, the things you'll learn about the company's best practices and the culture, all of those things can only come with time. So if you do get called up, which you probably will, and someone will offer you more money, at least consider talking to your employer about the offer that you got. See if they're willing to meet that offer, or at least put you on a path to get you there quickly. Because employers want to keep employees, and if you really love your job, you don't have to leave just because somebody else is offering you more money. With all these things, like I mentioned, my first 2 jobs outside of college didn't really work out for me. But if you're able to keep these things in mind, you could end up really loving your first job, which is something that's pretty rare when you're just graduating from college. The next thing I want to talk about, there was this girl named Mallory, who was always just a little bit better than me. She was prettier, smarter, answered questions a little bit faster, and I was consistently comparing myself to her. And everyone has a Mallory. This is someone that you graduated with, and you're both super excited, and then she calls you because she got the perfect job right out of school, and then she found the perfect man, and they had the most amazing wedding, and she keeps getting bonuses and promotions, and she doesn't know what to do with all the money she has. And maybe you haven't figured it out as quickly, and you're just trying to figure out if that pizza that you got on Monday is going to still be okay for breakfast on Friday. But it's hard not to compare yourself to the Mallorys. But I found if you shift your perspective, you can save yourself a lot of strife. So work to value the Mallorys. If you're in a meeting and someone has an idea faster than you, or someone gets promoted more quickly, instead of taking that personally and thinking, oh, why wasn't that me? Figure out how they did it. Take them to coffee. Learn their skills. You're, from what I've heard, going to end up being the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So by surrounding yourself with people who are better than you, you actually elevate your own skills much faster than if you were just the smartest person in the room. Next, rethink time. As people around you are becoming successful potentially faster than you, you're going to feel so much pressure to be so successful so quickly. But if you do the math, you're going to retire in your 60s, and you're probably in your early 20s now, so you're going to be working for the next 40 years. So you have plenty of time to figure out your career. So if you're not where you want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's okay. Realize you have plenty of time to figure out where you're going to go. Also, forget the roadmap. Like I mentioned, I had a couple jobs that didn't work out. And I realized I wanted to be in the agency, on the agency track, to get where I wanted to go and to learn the way I wanted to do. And that's where I wanted my career to go. And I took a pretty significant pay cut going from this high-level in-house corporate marketing role down to an agency where I had no experience. But I knew that's what I needed to do to get my career where I wanted it to go. So if people around you seem to have it figured out, and they're growing in their careers, but you realize that you maybe need to take a couple steps back and pivot and shift, don't be scared to do that. Also, celebrate the wins. It can be hard when you're comparing yourself to other people all the time to realize how far you've come. Something that I do is I have a cheers to me folder, and whenever anybody sends an email that says I did a good job or did well on a project, I put it in that folder so that if I'm feeling down or like I didn't do a good job on something, I can go revisit that and look at how far I've come. So make sure you're taking time to celebrate your wins. And at the end of the day, if you're always comparing yourself to other people, you're ascribing to their timeline instead of creating your own. So take a breath, keep these things in mind, and slow down because you have plenty of time to build your own success. The next mistake I want to talk about is one that I probably still make today, if I'm being honest, and is feeling that I'm not good enough. And you're going to feel it too. You guys are going to get your first job out of college, and someone, maybe someone you work with or your parents, are going to ask you what you do every day. And at first, you're going to have no idea what's going on. And there'll be times where a client asks a difficult question or someone gives you a project, and you're going to have the feeling that you don't know what you're doing. Everyone feels that when they start working, and even after they've been working a few years and throughout their careers. But don't assume that because of that feeling, it means you're not ready. One of my biggest mistakes was anytime I was hit with that feeling that I didn't know enough, I assumed it meant that I was dumb, or I wasn't good enough, or I shouldn't be part of a project. And that's not the case. Realize it's okay. You're going to feel this way when you first start working. Everyone feels it when they're doing something new, so it's okay to push through it. Don't not try, double negative intended, because of this. There were so many projects that I could have spoken up at, or meetings that I could have contributed to that I didn't because I was so scared that I didn't know enough to contribute to the conversation. But I found, after pushing myself to go through those things, it's going through the most uncomfortable situations and coming out on the other side of that that helps you grow the fastest and learn the most. So push yourself to try, even if you're scared. Also, speak up. I'm giving you a lot of advice about not knowing enough and doing it anyways, but there will be times when you're not given the right direction or you're not giving the support that you need to complete a task correctly. So make sure, don't not participate in a project because of that, but speak up and ask for the resources, extra training, extra support you might need to get something done correctly. And also, at the end of the day, caring wins. I was so scared that someone was going to find out that I didn't know what I was doing and I was going to get fired. But I've seen a lot of people, some employees get fired, I've seen a lot of employees get promoted, and at the end of the day, employers start to lose faith in you when you stop caring. So if you do a bad job on something, and your attitude is just, oh, well, that's the level of work I put together, then employers will start worrying that this isn't the fit for you, or if you really do stop caring, you should probably be looking for other opportunities. But even if you're scared of not knowing enough, as long as you care and you're willing to grow and you're willing to push forward, employers will always have faith in you. So with all of these things, like I mentioned, it's going to hit you when you're leaving school and when you're starting working that you don't know what you're doing. But people are failing around you all the time, and you're going to fail. And it's just important to push through those failures and learn from them instead of being so scared of failure that you don't go after what you want. So my final mistake, which is probably one of the biggest mistakes I made throughout my career, is this feeling of just wanting to be happy and passionate in everything I was doing with work all the time. And we've all heard it, follow your dreams, find a job you would do for free, do what you love, and you guys are going to be ready to graduate college with this advice and think, I'm going to love what I do and I'm going to be so excited to go to work every day. But then you're going to start working. And you're going to realize that working can be really tedious at times. And if you're anything like me, I had these moments where it would hit me and I would think, oh God, what did I do with my life? I'm supposed to be passionate and happy all the time, and I'm just bored, and I need to throw away everything and start all over. But that advice was wrong, or at least it wasn't very practical. Your passion does not have to be your career, but if you learn to bring your passion into your career and weave it into your life, you can be happy. So what I mean by this is, you're going to graduate, you're going to have your degree, and your degree is going to come with a whole set of skills. And some of these will be the hard skills, the things that you learned while you were in school, like how to do math and how to identify a target audience. And then there's going to be the things that are the soft skills, the things that you learned about yourself. Like you loved Spanish, or you took a photography class and it was amazing, or your roommate taught you how to bake, or you have a heart for giving back and volunteering. These hard skills, these are going to be the things that get you a job. This is what employers care about. They care that you can write well, they care that you can do analytics, but you're going to be working on these skills, maybe writing hundreds of variations of ad copy, you're trying to calculate ROI for the 18th time, and you're going to start thinking about those soft skills and think, oh, I really miss Spanish, I should drop everything and move to Mexico, or start my own bakery, my own photography business, or I need to give up and just spend my whole life volunteering. But quitting and following a passion isn't necessarily the answer. I found what finally made me happy was when I worked to integrate the things that I was passionate into my day-to-day role and into my job. So if you are passionate about Spanish, you could go to a client and say, If you localized your ad copy, you could reach a whole new audience, and I want to lead those translation efforts because I am really good at Spanish. Or if you love photography, going to your company and saying, the company website looks so much better with new photography, and I want to lead those efforts. Or if you have a heart for giving back, you could go to your executive team and explain, clients want to work with companies that give back, and you want to spend 10% of your time running the company's volunteer efforts and documenting that and putting it on the website. And there's going to be things that you can't integrate into your job, like baking, for example, but you'll find that having a steady job will actually help you support your passions outside of work. So if you have a paycheck, you can afford the fancy KitchenAid maker, and you can make sure you're dedicating 1 hour a week to baking, and you don't forget that that's something that you're passionate about. So at the end of the day, your job can start to support your passions outside of work just as much as they can support your passions while you're at work. And I have a really good example of this, someone that I know that's been able to integrate their passions into their life in a way that's made them one of the happiest people that I've ever met. And that's my grandfather. He's here today. He's a crier, so I apologize for the waterworks. He's right up front. He doesn't know that I'm talking about him either. So. But I want to talk to you guys about my grandfather, because when he was your age, he was passionate about 3 things: boxing, traveling, and acting. And he took these 3 things he was so passionate about, and he got a job in carpet sales. My timing is off. He got a job in carpet sales. And you wouldn't think necessarily that selling carpet could support any of these passions, but he made sure he was boxing outside of work. Since he had a steady paycheck and flexible hours, he was able to pursue acting outside of that. He's written an entire script. He's been in movies. He was an Archer, if that's a show that you guys have seen. And he didn't just use his jobs to support his passions outside of work, but he also helped the company expand their international business. He got to go to places like Abu Dhabi and Paris and things that he might not have done if he would have pursued something else. And he and my grandmother spearheaded our entire family, most importantly me, who gets to be inspired by him and got to see him weave his passions into his life and into his career. And he did all of these things while selling carpet. So at the end of the day, he was able to bring his passions to his life, bring his passions to his career, and all of these things came together to tell his overarching story. So if there's one thing you guys take away from this presentation today, I want it to be that remember your skills will get you the job. Your skills will get you raises, your skills will help you advance your career, but bringing your passions to your job, to your career, and making sure you're honoring them in your everyday life, that's what's going to make you happy and make you have the most successful career. Thank you.